Hey, it's Zane. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you've had a great week. In today's video, I want to talk about some of the key lessons that Bitcoin has taught me, and I hope that it's teaching you on your Bitcoin journey. And these are really important lessons, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below as I'm sharing here today. And I think this is really important for us to just check in with ourselves right now. Particularly given that Bitcoin, there's a lot of euphoria and excitement around Bitcoin at the moment. It's a real talking point because Bitcoin just, of course, reached another all-time high. And I guess we've got to just realize that, it's fascinating to think how many smart people have A, ignored Bitcoin, B, dismissed it, and C, declared its demise. And yet, despite all of that, Bitcoin has continued to just march forward, tick-tock, next block for the past 16 years. And despite all of the, headwinds that it's had to face, it's just, it's shining brightly. And the future for Bitcoin now could not be clearer. And even still, there's so many intelligent, smart people who are still declaring its demise and ignoring it, believing they don't need it. And, I really believe that these people are going to wake up one day and realize and wish that they had have paid attention to Bitcoin when they could have done that. But, you and I, all we can do is, continue to stay focused on our own journey, which involves obviously stacking consistently as much as we possibly can, hopefully ending the month with more sats than we began the month with. It involves us ignoring the noise, holding on, hodling as we say, hold on for dear life, despite the market cycles, despite all of the sentiment that comes and goes on the mainstream, and despite what people might be saying around us. We just got to stay focused on what we're doing. If you believe in Bitcoin, if you've done the work on Bitcoin, it's really easy to actually stay on path. And anytime that you find yourself getting off track, starting to question yourself whether you've done the right thing, I'd encourage you to just get back to work, get back to learning, listen to another long-form podcast, listen to a Jeff Booth, listen to a Tony Yazbek. When you do that, you'll find, bang, you'll switch straight back on the path. You'll understand, you'll remember why you're here and why you need to stay here. So stacking, holding on for dear life, and then of course ensuring that you take your Bitcoin into self-custody. Self-custody is the revolution of Bitcoin, not just number go up. Number go up is exciting. Everybody's talking about number go up right now. Everybody's talking about how Bitcoin is the new asset to be in. It's the best performing asset over the past decade. That in itself is a revolution, particularly when you consider all of the challenges that Bitcoin has faced. But here we are. It still just trudges on, continues to defy the odds. It's never been hacked. It's the most secure, decentralized monetary protocol that humanity has ever seen and has ever created. And it doesn't really care what anyone thinks. It doesn't care what the government thinks, politicians think. It doesn't care what your mainstream news reader thinks. It doesn't even care what you think. It'll just continue to defy the odds and continue to trudge forward. And really, it's up to you to either pay attention to it and how it can make your life better. And you may already have a great life. I've got a great life, but I also can see the writing on the wall. I can see the red flags. And I guess particularly when you have kids that are grown up and they're at the start of their journey in terms of building a life for themselves, maybe someone in my shoes pays extra close attention, because we really want our kids, to have at least an equal quality of life that we've been able to create for ourselves, but hopefully even better. Let me know what you think about that in the comments below. But, lesson number one that Bitcoin has taught me is not just to listen, but to learn. We can spend our life listening to all of the noise that's out there. You know, information is readily available. It's available in the mainstream news. It's available on social media. It's available on different podcasts. There's entertainment, there's education, and there's information. But I believe that we're at a stage now in the world where we don't just need information. What we actually need is transformation. We don't need information, we need transformation. And that requires us to not just be a consumer, to not just absorb, but to actually proactively go on a hunt for learning and then to apply that learning in our own life. Only then can we make our life better. You know, and the reason I say this is because I see too many people, you know, and remember for 15 years I ran a seminar company, personal development, health and wellness, and doing everything separate from what we're taught, taking self-responsibility, self-care, self-education, self-sovereignty, being a sovereign, responsible individual, which requires you to basically do the opposite of everything that we're taught and told. And I know that's hard for most people to swallow because so many people love to be told what to do. Bitcoin teaches you to be in charge of your own life, to see all of the problems that the control system creates and to opt out and to choose a better life for yourself and your family. And that better life may not show up today, but when you understand what Bitcoin represents, not just number go up, but freedom go up, what you realize is that over the course of time, your life will get better. But you need to have a low time preference. And the problem today is that most people have a high time preference. They need instant gratification. They need everything now. They need to put things on a credit card to have it now and then worry about paying for it later at 20% interest. So in years gone by, what did we do? If we wanted something, we'd need to save. If we wanted something from a shop, you know, typically we'd put it on lay-by, we'd pay it off over a couple of months, and then once we'd paid it off, then we'd get the thing. Whereas now, society's built on give me the thing now and I'll worry about how to pay for it later. And so, you know, these are kind of the lessons, I guess, that come up for me when it comes to Bitcoin, and it really teaches you to go back to how things once were, how things are meant to be when it comes to how we value our time and energy, how we plan for the future, how we become more future focused and disciplined and methodical in our approach to life rather than needing everything now and living in a state of constant chaos and constant anxiety and stress. Bitcoin is the antithesis of all of that. And, you know, every time I think about this, I really think back to how Bitcoin was released to the world at such an opportune time. You know, I don't believe it was by accident. I believe it was by design. And when we think about Bitcoin coming out 1 month after the GFC was announced and those banks went down in America in September 2008, and then the Bitcoin white paper was released to the world in October 2008. And then, of course, the first Genesis block of Bitcoin was mined in January 2009. And, you know, most people don't, I guess, relate to that time in history that was so significant and all of the damage that has actually been done since that time. And so you and I and our family and friends, we've had 16 years to learn about what Satoshi gifted to the world. And yeah, I know it's been difficult because we've had to come up against all of the mainstream sentiment around Bitcoin, that it's going to fail, it's going to be banned, it's going to be bad for the environment. You know, what if, you know, somebody hacks it? You know, all of these messages we've had to contend with over the years, and none of that has come to fruition. Meanwhile, people who have gone on a proactive hunt for learning to learn about Bitcoin, they've just been quietly stacking and going about their business, knowing that Bitcoin can't be stopped because of the way that the protocol is designed, the fact that it's decentralized and it cannot be corrupted in any way, shape or form by any individual or any entity. And so people who have understood this, they've just been quietly stacking, storing their time and energy in Bitcoin, and Bitcoin just continues to defy the odds and to make their life better. And in many cases, it's absolutely transformed the financial lives of many, many people. But you have to stay patient, you have to stay disciplined, you have to realize that Bitcoin requires you to have a low time preference. Bitcoin requires you to zoom out. Bitcoin requires you to go back to the way things once were in terms of how you approach your future and planning and, taking things step by step. And so, I just really want to make the point that because Bitcoin, what it teaches us is the opposite of all the lessons or the way that society is constructed around this instant gratification. Bitcoin teaches us to do the absolute opposite. And not just in terms of our money, but in terms of our education. I mean, you and I both know that the traditional education system, it's a dead system. With the advent of AI coming in, anyone who's sending their kids to an industrialized school now for 12 years and thinking that that's the answer to them building a great life for themselves, really it's just a babysitting service now. I mean, there's no reason to send your kids to school unless, of course, you just need the babysitting service, because the reality is what they're going to learn there is going to be replaced by AI anyway. And this is a sad, cold, hard truth about where the world is going. It's that the cost of human capital is falling to zero due to AI. And so kids are going to have to be very, 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 very cautious about what career path they choose now, and how much debt they want to rack up with higher education, because unfortunately technology can't be stopped, and nobody's going to make an announcement for us from our government or the mainstream news or the institutions that seek to pigeonhole us. Nobody's going to say, well, hang on a minute, guys, this system that you're all a part of, guess what? It's dying. So come over here and create a new one, or jump out of this system and go and follow the new system. They're not going to do that. This is really up to you now. And it's up to you to guide your kids on this journey. I keep talking about how AI and Bitcoin are going to intersect, I believe, within the next 3 to 5 years. And like I said, I'm reading a book at the moment called The Great Harvest, and it talks about this great intersection. The book is written by Adam Livingston between AI and Bitcoin at a time when, the cost of human capital is falling to zero. What that means is we're moving into an era now where we're going to have, when I say we, corporations and businesses, they're going to be able to generate infinite efficiencies that they couldn't have employing human labor. Due to AI, they're going to become much more profitable and much more efficient, which is, of course, going to dismantle and displace millions of workers around the world, and even people in professions that they've studied 5 years of their life to get degrees and all of this kind of thing. So these are going to be displaced, but it's going to happen at a time when also governments around the world are inflating currencies to zero. So they're destroying the purchasing power of currencies that people go to work for. And so I want you to just ponder this transition now, a time when professions, industries, the workforce is going to be disrupted due to AI, at also a time when there's going to be a flight from people wanting to work for currencies that are continuing to be debased and printed. They're going to be looking for absolute scarcity in order to store their time and energy. And this is a really critical thing for you to ponder now, how this is going to play out over the next few years. And nothing stops this train. Nothing stops this train. And so, this is the time for learning, not just listening. It's the time to understand that you need a low time preference, It's the time to understand that there is a better way. You don't have to go down with the sinking ship. You can start to opt out and get on the Bitcoin life raft. But it's no good to just learn about what this is. You then need to act on it as well. And it doesn't matter at what level, it just matters that you start low and you start to grow. You start to grow yourself, you start to grow your stack, you start to grow your awareness about what's going on in the world and how Bitcoin fixes this. And it's not something that you'll learn in 5 minutes. And, I said on my Bitcoin live streams this week, if you're waiting to get started in Bitcoin, you want to learn everything there is to know about it before you take action. The sad reality is you'll never take action, because I'm here to tell you that you'll never learn everything there is to know about Bitcoin before you can act on it. It just doesn't exist. I mean, even people who've been in Bitcoin for 15 years still don't know everything about Bitcoin. So, the best thing to do is to read a book, listen to a few long form podcasts, do a little bit of study yourself, and get to a point where you realize this is the place to be. This is the place to be storing your long-term value and savings and capital, and just start low. Just start at some level that you feel comfortable with. Watch the process, get your Bitcoin into self-custody, develop your knowledge, develop your confidence, and then from there, you'll just naturally want to build. You'll want to grow. And so, that's really what I want to get across to you today. Bitcoin has so many lessons about life, success, staying the course, continuing to be disciplined, to be future focused, to have a low time preference, to delay gratification, and to plan for a better and brighter future for yourself and your family. But like I said, knowledge is only power if you act on that knowledge. So hope you got something from that. I just wanted to get that off my chest and share some thoughts with you I had this morning. I spent a couple of hours out on the mountain riding my cross-country mountain bike, and when I'm out there, I'm always thinking very clearly about the state of the world and the problems that Bitcoin solves, and how grateful I am to be in this space and to be able to share with you. And I hope that you're continuing on your growth journey, your learning journey. Bitcoin's not just about money. The true revolution is self-sovereignty. So I just wanted to get that across to you here today. Anyway, hope you got something from that. Let me know in the comments. If you need to book a call with me, I do one-on-one calls on Zoom every single week. You can see a link in the show notes. It'll take you straight to my calendar where you can book a call with me. You'll see all of the feedback from people who have calls with me every single week. We go for about an hour. I can help you on your way. If you're just getting started, make sure you know exactly what to do with no mistakes in terms of onboarding, self-custody. If you're looking to upgrade or to really make progress on your Bitcoin journey, I can let you know what I'm doing, which I know you'll get tremendous value from as well. Make some recommendations to you. And then, of course, if you're looking to set up a Bitcoin-friendly retirement fund, I can guide you on where to go to get a SMSF set up compliantly so that you can acquire Bitcoin and take it into self-custody, which ultimately is the true revolution. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. This is Zane signing out. Bye for now.